Shirt that he had on yesterday? No, it is yesterday where I am. It's pre-recorded. Stop judging me. I wanted to continue the conversation, and I hope you're okay with it. I guess if you continue to watch, then you're okay with it. Um, because it's mental health is an issue that we just don't talk about. And there's so many aspects of mental health, and there's no way that I can, tackle all those aspects in one sermon, unless it's like a 4-hour sermon. But half of the people would be sleeping, snoring in the front row. So I don't, but I want to continue the conversation. And one thing I want to talk to you about, and it's something that I'm guilty of, is rest. I don't get enough rest. In the society that we live in the time that we live in, productivity is everything. I work too much. I am a workaholic. I suffer from workaholism. In everything that I do, I try to do to the fullest of my extent. Which, I read the verse where the Bible says, Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. And so, I've always taken that verse as law. I try to just work. Whatever I'm doing, I try to pour my whole self into it. And unfortunately, it leads me to not getting enough rest. And in being good stewards of this body, what God has given us, one of those things is taking care of the body, and not getting enough rest oftentimes leads to mental breakdown. Both the organ of the brain and the processes of the brain need rest to recover. And so when we don't give it rest, and I'm not necessarily talking about sleep, but rest. And sleep may be a form of rest, but it's not the only form of rest. The times where we don't have to worry about stuff, the times where we are at peace, the times where we can have those thoughts of just joy, the times where our brain isn't trying to figure something out. Rest. And rest can look a lot of different ways, and people rest in different ways. And I want you to ask yourself a real question, and you can type it in the comments below. When is the last time you got rest? Real rest. There's a story of a little girl that went to the store with her mom, and they're walking around, and they go to the cashier, and the cashier's like, ma'am, did you know that your daughter's asleep? And she's just holding on. And it's really about trust in the person that you're with. Like that little girl, because I have been so tired that I've fallen asleep standing up. But as soon as I move, I'm up, because I don't have a lot of comfort in there's some part of my brain that knows that I'm not secure. And so that movement immediately wakes me up. And there's a confidence, or a lack of confidence, or lack of security is probably a better word, in where you are, where you can't rest. You sleep better when you have nothing to worry about. I know several homeless people that have a hard time sleeping on the street because they can't be secure. And it's not so much they don't sleep, but their sleep is up and down because they don't they don't actually get rest. And I want you to look at this verse with Mark 2:27 and 28. And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even over the Sabbath. Now what's going on here is that Jesus was healing a man on the Sabbath day. And the Pharisees were saying, he's being unlawful. There's an ordinance that says that you are not supposed to do work on the Sabbath. And Jesus says, well, I want you to know that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. I didn't make worship and add man to it. I didn't make break and add man to it. I made man, and I decided they needed rest. And so I gave them the Sabbath, a time where they could get some rest. They're going to work all week long, but they need to have a time where they're going to rest. And in Leviticus, the ordinance says that you're not supposed to work on Friday sundown to Saturday Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. We don't live by the law because we are living in our grace. And so we decided we don't have to do Saturday sundown to Sunday sundown. We just need to respect the ordinance of getting rest. But if we don't have it built in, we will definitely build it out. And so if you don't make time for rest, you will make time to not rest. And so it doesn't matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you are going to find something to do with that time because society pushes you to. Because you're wanting to please, or you're wanting to make more, or to get more money, or whatever the case may be. It's going to push you to. Your own workaholicism, in my case, is going to push you to. I'm just checking a couple of emails. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do that. And then eventually, then you have no time to rest because you've built in no time to rest. Oftentimes, not having enough rest is going to lead to mental breakdown. So, when we talk about mental health, and when we talk about the Bible in mental health, it's important to point out the fact that we have gotten away from a thing that is a commandment that we don't need to be legalistic about, but we need to find a way to build in a time to observe. We need rest. There's not enough coffee in the world that's going to keep your mind without giving your mind the time that it needs to relax. And unfortunately for a lot of us, me included, we have so little trust in God. And, you may not be ready to admit it. I can admit it. So little trust in God that you feel like if you don't do this, no one else is going to do it, and it's never going to get done. Well, then you have to ask yourself the question, as I am having to ask myself the question. Believe me, I am preaching to myself. Is it your work, or is it God's work? Is that your family, or is that God's family that He gave you? Is that your job, or is it God's job that He trusts you with? Is this your world? Is this your church? Or is it God's? Because the same God that entrusted you with it is the same one saying, my son, my daughter, my baby, you need rest. So do we have so little trust in God But we're not willing to rest, because if we don't do this, if we don't get this done, everything's going to fall apart. Or are we willing to start moving towards just trusting Him, even in the times where we feel like things need to happen? Keep the conversation going. Message below. Email us, text us. This is something that we need to talk about. This is something that we need to deal with. And so I want to come back to you every night this week, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'll see you then.
You got this figured out.